How young is too young to take your littles to Disney? That's our topic today. This is episode 22. I'm Sariah.
And I'm Ruth.
And together we're just your average Disney travelers. I am joined with my sister again, Ruth. You might remember her from episode 11, I believe it is, talking about going to Disney on a budget. We're giving Rory the day off. And we're going to be talking about going to Disney with your littles. But before we do that, a few weeks ago on Valentine's Day, we had our joint sister, Debbie. And Debbie started a new tradition on our podcast of asking our guests a would you rather question as we start.
I like that.
So we're going to ask you a would you rather question.
Okay.
Would you rather have a date night with Tom, her husband, on at Disneyland or in Disney California Adventure?
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
Because I think Cars Land particularly is super romantic,
Especially
lit up with the
lights,
neon.
yeah.
And then when it gets dark enough, they do the shaboom thing where the music starts playing and we usually do dance.
Thing.
But Disneyland also has, you could eat in the Pirates ride, super romantic there. And they actually do a really cool swing dancing thing on Saturday nights at the Royal Theater.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. We went for a 1-day trip for just Tom and I, and
cool.
We get to dance. They have a live swing band, and they've been doing it like forever.
How did I not know that? Wow, that's
in the beginning,
awesome.
It wasn't always at that same location, but I think even Walt's time they've been doing swing dancing for a long time there.
So no matter which park you're in, you get to do some dancing. So do you have what would you pick?
I would choose Disneyland.
Disneyland.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. What puts it over the top for you?
Well, I don't know. I think the Pirates option, and then also the area with the lake. It's so pretty. It's all romantic.
I was leaning that way too, because I was thinking the same thing where there's some things I could really enjoy doing at California Adventure, and I think because I was thinking it'd be kind of romantic to do even it's not Mickey's Fun Wheel anymore, the Pixar Pal Around wheel at night would be kind of cool with the lights. No, so neither does my husband, but it would still be really fun. I would enjoy it, and he would do it for me. So okay, but I would think it'd be neat to see the city lights from up high.
That'd be nice.
So that was one of the reasons why I thought maybe California Adventure, but I ended up also with Disneyland. Yeah. I just think that there's so much potential there. Again, I also thought Blue Bayou and the lagoon there, the Seven Sea, the Rivers of America.
So pretty,
and just a really nice atmosphere. I didn't know about the dancing though.
Yes, Saturday nights, so cool, live music, and some people come like dressed up, and you could tell they're regulars. They're there,
locals.
And then but you can just show up wearing whatever you want, and we can just watch people dance or dance yourself to jump in. It's fun.
Neat. Oh, well, that's fun. Hey, I learned something new. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so our topic is about taking little kids, and we're talking infants and young toddlers to Disneyland, because when I was a travel agent, one of the things I heard a lot, and even just in general, just talking with friends, is people, they want to go, but they are afraid to go too soon because they're worried their kids won't remember the experience, or that it's kind of like wasted because of that. And so a lot of people will wait, which is I'm not saying that's a bad thing either, but is it something that we would, is there a reason to take kids when they're little? So do you recommend taking young kids to Disney?
The first time we went to Disney World, our oldest was just shy of a year old.
Yeah.
So she was really little, and it was a great trip. It was so much fun. We went with you guys, actually.
That's why it was so great.
And so she's 17 now, but our first trip was when she was and so I think it was great. I think I would totally do it again. I think it partly depends on why you're going.
Sure.
If you're going to entertain your child, then probably not a really great idea, because they're going to be just as entertained with you doing silly faces with them at home.
Blowing bubbles.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you and or your spouse or you and your bestie or whatever want to go, then I don't think it's a reason not to go just because you have a child.
That's a good point. And I think also, if you think this is really the only time you're going to take your kids, that might play some into it. But then again, if you've got kids that are getting older and you still have young ones, at some point, something's going to give. You're going to miss one end or the other. So yeah, I agree. I think the biggest tip for the thing that I would say is to document it. Yes. Document it with photos and videos as much as you possibly can. I know that you talk a lot about your daughter talking about the things that happened. She almost
thinks that she remembers, even though she can't possibly really, but she tells people all the time that her first ice cream was fed to her by Mickey Mouse. Yep. So we had a really cool little ice cream social thing we did at Disney World, and Mickey Mouse is there, and we've got, you know, her having her first ice cream and kissing him on his nose, and we like the whole thing. It was adorable, super adorable. And you don't have to do first there, but there are actually a lot of opportunities to do first.
You can do first haircut.
You can do your haircut there.
A barber. They have
it's so
barber
cute.
Shop. Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, especially some of us were really nervous the first time we got our kids' haircuts. And I remember asking my friends, oh, where's a good place to take my kid their first haircut? And of course, Disney's going to be perfect. Like they're going to be super great with kids.
So that's a fun memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, like even just with yours, knowing you were going, kind of planned that would be her first ice cream. Yeah. So that's fun. I guess you can't always plan things like first steps or things like that, but there are still, you know, even just document that first time on Dumbo or, you know, all of that. It's
And so they'll go back and look at the pictures and watch the videos. And especially if they do it as they're growing up, you get to have that around, they'll kind of think they remember.
They will. They'll say, remember that time when and it's like, you were,
yes, I remember, but
how you don't remember that, but they will remember from the document, whatever you've provided, photos, books, videos. Cute. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Okay. So is there an age that you think is too young? Now, yours was almost 1.
Yes. I would say, of course, don't plan it for like right after you have the baby. Right. You know, you want to wait till mom's completely recovered and feeding is established.
Right. You don't want to have to be still trying to figure out how to get that to work.
Right. So, you know, obviously you want to wait till those things are ready. And plus you don't know beforehand if you're going to have any complications, baby or mom. So you want to give yourself a good few months, I would say.
I mean, because you're really a recovering mom, really shouldn't be riding a lot of those rides.
Well, and then just walking so much, and out in the sun, you need to drink water, just so much.
So a few months,
but
maybe.
just after they're a few months old, actually, they're super easy. It's like, almost like anything else, it's going to be different. But when they're really, really young and pretty much all they do is sleep, that's the time to take them to the movie. That's the time to maybe take them out to dinner, because
do a road trip. Or,
because
they're sleeping anyways.
Stay still and be fairly quiet. Yeah. So same thing with Disney is you'll just have them in a little baby carrier or a stroller, and you can kind of do your thing, and they don't really care. So that's good. And that's the thing. Every age is going to have its challenges or its sweet things. You know, when they're really tiny, you know, when they're just a few months old, they'll be fairly easy. When they start wanting to walk or crawl,
be more independent,
that is when things get a little more tricky. Once we tried to go to a show, I think it was the Frozen show, a California Adventure. And my little guy, he just wanted to be moving. He did not want to be sitting still at all. So I was just in the back of the theater, and Disney, it was totally fine. Everybody was cool with that. So I just had him walking around the back of the theater.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But that is a time where it's a little bit harder to do those kinds of things. Okay. So how does having a baby or a young toddler affect the planning process for you?
Okay. There's a lot involved there, because you need to think about kind of your lifestyle and schedule in general. Does your kid take scheduled naps, or do they just kind of crash wherever they are? Our kids, when we would go out for the day, they would easily fall asleep in the stroller. We lay out the snacks in the snack tray, they'd eat, and then eventually we'd be like, oh, look, they're asleep in the stroller. So, and we could pretty much do anything we wanted. Then we didn't have to stop and go back for nap times. But some people, that's not going to work for at all. And I know Sariah also suggests having a midday break for pretty much any age anyway. And so you could just work that into your plan, but that will also, you want to consider where you're staying in relation to the parks. True. You don't want to be more than half an hour away, because that's taking now well over an hour total, just the driving time. I mean, really,
ideally, you really want to be a close walking then in that case, because even just getting to your car, even if you're staying relatively close, the process of getting on the tram, getting to the parking lot, getting into your car, and
that's easy to do. I mean, as on California side, our California parks, we're able to you could easily be across the street, and it's not a big deal. You put them in the stroller, 5-minute walk, you're, back at your hotel. In Disney World, there's a little bit more of changing transportation sometimes, but I think that's longer waits. And so you might have a longer time that you're having to set aside. That's going to be your midday break. But you'll just kind of know, and you can test those things out by, days out at the zoo or what, see how they do. If you try to just have them take a nap in the stroller.
I think that if you're thinking about that kind of thing, you want to, if you can, book an extra day or two so that you're giving yourself enough time that you're fine with the breaks if you're needing to take naps or go back to your hotel, that you're not feeling like that's taking away from your time in the parks, because you have extra time. You don't only have those 2 days or 3 days to try to get everything done. Really, honestly, if you're going with a little kid, don't try to get everything done. No. Kiss that dream goodbye. That's not going to happen. Just go at the pace that you can go, where everyone's happy. Because if that baby's not happy, no one's going to be happy. The other thing is, it does affect when you're planning where you want to stay. And so, if you're at Disney World, where it is a little bit trickier, which parks do you think you'll be at most? If your budget allows it, and you could be on the monorail because you're going to be spending most of your time in Magic Kingdom, that makes it really easy to get back for naps. Or whatever park it is. If you know that your kids just absolutely loves animals and are going to be Animal Kingdom a lot, then that's, you'll want to try to stay near there. But, that does affect where you want to be and how much time you want to plan for your trip.
So you'll just want to really look at the places you are interested in staying and figure out your transportation. What modes of transportation are even available to you? How long will it take? So you can have a reasonable idea.
How easy is it to take a stroller on that transportation? Things like that. And also, car seats even, you have to plan if you're not driving to the parks, getting from the hotel or the airport to your hotel, that kind of thing, just got to factor in. The next question I had was, how does having an infant, or how does having someone in this age group, how does that affect your packing and preparing for travel, or the time that you're
you have to bring so much more stuff when you have a kid.
You do.
It's so much more than just adding another adult.
This is when you really, if you can fly Southwest and take those free checked bags, man, because they give everyone still 2 checked bags and hardly ever need that anymore. But in babies' cases, you probably do.
Totally do.
So, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, you better make sure you have that favorite blinky or whatever snuggly that you better make sure you have it. And if you can if it's something that you can have more than one of, then having an extra is not a bad idea either.
Certainly for your pacifiers or things like that.
One nice thing is that you can bring food, snacks, drinks into the Disney parks for you and the kids. They're not, they don't care about you bringing in a full meal. I mean, you could probably bring in a whole pizza.
As long as you don't have glass containers. Right. So no glass baby jars, but they have lots of the plastic now, baby food containers that you could take.
So I would say probably baby bottles too. Just make sure everything's plastic and you can bring it right in. They also have baby care centers where you can warm up your food or if your kid gets really distracted easily, whether you're breastfeeding or just bottle feeding or spoon feeding, you can take them into the baby care center and you can warm up their food, have quiet time.
Yeah, nice and quiet. They're rocking chairs. I mean, it's like super nice environment where it's more comfortable for you. And right now they are still open during COVID, but very limited. It's not like you can just have another toddler playing on the floor while you're feeding a baby. Now it's like really just kind of bare bones, but they're still there. Yeah. And eventually they'll probably open back up to where they're a little bit more open and welcoming of variety, staying and lingering. But yeah, those care centers are great. And take advantage of things like you can even have supplies sent to your hotel, whether it's through Amazon or Prime now, whatever, or grocery deliveries, diapers, formulas,
you treats. Don't have to pack all of it.
Yeah. So
that's nice.
So if you are concerned about that extra bag of checking at the airline or how you're going to fit it all in your car, you could send a lot of that, the stuff that's just going to be used and left, thrown away, just have it sent to your room. That'll save it'll save at least your convenience. Yeah. All right. So any other tips on that line?
I'm trying to remember I kind of detoured maybe from the question.
We were talking about packing. And, yeah. And partly the travel, which that's what, and kind of, I even said even before the whole figuring out the car seat issue. Do you need a car seat?
And then there's also like, how are they sleeping? You want to contact your hotel and find out, do they have kind of a porter crib,
and most do. Most do, but make sure that they know you'll need it.
Right.
Not all rooms have it already in there.
Sometimes they'll charge more, sometimes they won't. Yeah. So just having that, if you have your, maybe a blanket that your child is familiar with that you've brought, it helps.
A little bit of home so that they're more comfortable and feel safe and secure. All right. So what are tips about being in the parks with the baby or toddler? What do we need to prepare for?
Okay. You'll have to know your kid, because some kids will just love Disney is it can be either completely magical and just amazing, and the kids will just be in awe and staring everywhere. Or they might get overwhelmed by all the
or both.
Yeah. They could, and that's the thing. I mean, overstimulation is something to be concerned about. Yeah. You have music going on all the time. You've got people passing you all the time. You're moving, zooming around through your stroller. Yeah. There's just a lot. And so I think, like she said, making sure that you can slow down is important, and taking breaks is important. Finding the more quiet off the path and little niches, and just having some downtime is good, where you just maybe people watch,
or even just letting them have time to find that patch of grass and let them run and just let them play, do something that's not going to a ride or sitting at a show or something that's a little bit more.
And those can be hard to find, actually, places where you feel safe getting the kid out of the stroller and having them move. I found like the animation building in California Adventure is great.
It's not necessarily quiet. That's usually busy.
No, it's not quiet.
But it's enclosed, and it's a fun environment. They've got music going and the videos. But I felt
like it was more, when we had our little one, it was more toned down.
It's darker. Yeah.
And it just seems like places for them to roam. Yeah. Especially when you go over to maybe the little section you can take them into where you do Turtle Talk with Crush.
Yeah, that's a little bit more.
After a crowd has gone into that theater, then it's pretty much empty, and you can just let them roam. So finding those little spots helps.
And at Disneyland, it would take you outside of the parks, but you can go outside. I mean, like I said, this is a little bit of a walk, but there's lots of grassy area over at the Disneyland Hotel. So if you do want to just let them maybe have your lunch out there, have it as a picnic or whatever, go sit on the lawn. They've got pretty gazebos. Anyways, lots of just really pretty landscaping, but there's lawn, and the kids can just run and play, get a little bit of that out, let them do that. There's also like say over at California Adventure, they've got the Redwood.
Oh, that's a great place.
Redwood Creek Challenge?
The Redwood Creek Challenge Trail. Yeah.
And that's a fun place for kids to just be kids. There's stuff for them
to let them out,
climb on, touch, climb on. If they're
kids of all ages.
Yeah, a lot of ages, because you've got some for the older kids like zip line and rope climbing, but even the little kids, it's just a safe place that's meant for them to just go and play.
Yeah, they can be more free, and there won't be so many like adults bustling by or teenagers or it's just a nice cool
it's
little,
meant for the kids,
off to the side place.
Yeah.
One thing I don't know if you have it on your list though is like the characters, preparing for characters, because we all want pictures of our kids with Mickey Mouse and the princesses and everything. Some kids are absolutely just freaked out by the characters.
You have these hopes and then they just don't go.
That's actually one of the reasons why when they're really young, like a year old,
it's great.
It's great. They're not afraid of anything, and they're just like kind of grabbing the noses, and you get really, really cute pictures. Yeah, it's when they become old enough to be more aware that they can freak out. You can test it out if you have like a Chuck E. Cheese or something at home. You can have it around
some place that has
anything that will have some kind of character. You can test out how are they going to respond. And of course talk it up. I tried the thing where I showed them videos at home leading up to it of kids their age meeting the characters that were happy. Now you have to like search carefully because sometimes people will put them crying and
screaming.
Right. So you want to be happy videos,
positive experience,
and show them so that they can see the difference of the sizes, right? Because you don't realize when you see a picture of Mickey Mouse that he's going to be like a huge thing.
Big, huge,
And so you want, if your kids can start seeing that and see, oh, the other kids like to meet, the characters, then I don't know if it helped or not, but I tried that.
That's a good idea.
And then also face characters. You can start with face characters. That just means the ones that are like in human form.
The ones that can speak, the ones that you can see their actual face.
The princesses, they are very great. The kids, even if they might be like, act a little standoffish because they're strangers, it's much easier to get kids to warm up to, and the fairy godmother has always been our number one top favorite with little kids.
She just is so good.
She's so good. You're just bringing them to a grandma. It's so great. We haven't had any kids afraid of her. She's just perfect.
One of the great things about all of the characters, whether they're face characters or not, is they are so good at reading the kids and responding. They'll wait to see how the kid is reacting before they make any movement. They'll respond to however well the child is feeling, however comfortable they are. That's how they'll respond. If the child is laughing and running up and wants to give them a big hug, they're going to give them a big hug and do a little dance and all of that. But if they're nervous, they're going to be down on their level, really quiet, and just letting the kid come to them.
The characters they will never pressure the kids, try to talk them into anything. They won't, they'll be very cool with taking a picture 3 feet away from them.
Which actually that's how they're doing now anyways. Right now during COVID, that's all they're doing anyways. They're in the background. And so you had a good tip too, though, like at character meals, even of how to get young kids. They don't even know that they're getting a picture taken with the character.
Character meals are overall just a great time to meet characters. Anyway, you get more time, just great interaction. But with little kids who are afraid of the characters, you simply have them sitting at the table with their back to where all the characters are going to be, and you got them in their little high chair, and the character can come and stand right behind them. The rest of the family can come and stand around the kid. The kid doesn't know that the character's back there at all, and so you have them just smiling in the picture.
They're just happy they're taking a picture,
and they don't know that you've got Tigger right behind them making silly faces and stuff. So it's really fun. That's worked for us a lot.
Yeah. And if it's not a character meal, if you're just doing a character meet and greet, same principle. You can be ahead and let the character be behind and just have a photo done that way.
That was a little trickier because they can see as you're waiting in line. They know what's happening. They might be nervous.
Yeah, but the distance sometimes helps them if mom's holding them and they're focused on something here, knowing that the character is not right next to them. Sometimes that helps. But so what are some other challenges that you would face having the younger kids in the parks?
A big challenge is the rides. There are a lot of the rides. Of course, your babies or your younger kid is not going to be able to go to. Disney has a fantastic solution, the rider switch option. And what that is you wait in line at the ride, you get up to the front, you let the attendant at the ride know that you want a rider switch pass. And
this only works if you have 2 adults or 2 people who can ride on their own.
Right. Yeah. And so you have 2 or more people in your group that are adults or who want to ride the ride. And then you basically get almost like a fast pass. It's a special fast pass for the people who are going to wait. So you wait in line together, and then you get your fast pass, your rider switch pass, and then one of the adults or a group of adults or older kids or whatever will go off and hold, entertain the baby while the first group goes on the ride. And when they come out, the second group can go. And I think you can bring 3, I think.
I always forget how many, because we don't have a large family, so we've always only had.
The second group can have a total of 3. So you actually.
It's 2 or 3. I don't know. Yeah.
So that's a good time to do a kiddie ride with the baby or toddler.
On a carousel.
Do diaper changes. Right. Give them a snack.
Something simple.
Yeah.
And then but
Disney
then
is usually built pretty well, that near big people rides, there's usually pretty close by something else to see or do. They kind of mix them around in the park. So I feel like it's not hard to find something else to do.
Yeah. And then, and you just switch off. So whoever was waiting with the baby then swaps with who just got to ride, and then they go straight on. No waiting in lines again, just getting on the next available ride.
It's especially good for kids who like to do the same thing over and over. So you'll have
your older kids.
Yeah. So you'll have the group on Splash Mountain and they can do Winnie the Pooh. The little kids can do, and they switch off, and the little kid can keep on doing Winnie the Pooh, right? If they want to, where the second group is riding. So that's a good one.
Yeah. So that's a good way to handle that. And there are a lot of rides that are safe to take even an infant on. So not all of them, of course, but there are a good number that are. There is, if you look on the Disney website with the attractions,
it'll always say.
Yep, or the app. Yeah, it'll always have the height limits if there is one, and there's a lot that don't have any height requirements. Yeah. So you can certainly take your baby on a lot of those rides.
Although then you have to be worried. I've got one kid who our youngest is kind of a ninny. He's afraid of everything. So even just a boat starting to move, in Small World of all places.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
So even that little tiny lurch makes him grabbing at us. He's climbing up our necks, So sometimes you just have to ease them into it, or you're okay, Papa, or distract them when the ride starts moving. Yeah. Just little things like that. You'll have some kids who'll be fine for everything. They'll go on anything you'll let them go on.
No, you're a kid.
And be okay if they're just not into that kind of thing.
And I think overall, that's really the biggest message: is be okay having it. I think
it's going to be a different experience.
Yeah.
It will be a totally different experience. Yeah.
And so be okay with that and go in knowing that this is going to be, it's kind of a testing. You really don't know how they're going to act because even if you have taken another child at that same age, they're going to respond differently. Yes. Even if it's the same child went 6 months ago, now you're going again, they're going to respond differently. Maybe they'll have even more fears or fewer. You just don't know. And so whenever you're dealing with the young kids, just
be flexible.
And
literally, sometimes you just have to choose to have a good time. You have to choose that whatever is going on in that moment is what should be going on. And if they're not enjoying doing rides, well, I guess we're going to change it and do something else instead. Yeah. And that's okay. And you can still have a great day at the park. No matter what your kid is willing to do.
Yeah. And I think that also just making sure to capture the moments. A lot of times those most magical moments aren't the ones that are on rides or even not even always interacting with characters. It could be them following the ducks around or it could be, just, you never know. And so let them have those moments, let them be comfortable and enjoying the time too. And try to capture that as much as you can, whether it's dancing to the piano player or
they love the music. Yeah, there's music everywhere.
There is music everywhere, and I don't know any kids that don't like music. Yeah. And so just all of it. Any other tips or anything that maybe we didn't hit on that you think we should mention?
I'm trying to think.
I know I had all my questions, but yeah.
Oh, one thing that we were talking about is. Bring your favorite stroller. This is not the time to bring, because you're thinking, I've got to get on and off trams. Don't bring your tiny little lightweight umbrella stroller. You want it to be dying.
Comfortable for them and comfortable for you to push.
Well, yes, it's great if they can, if you can recline so the kids can sleep.
Yeah.
And then also the same thing, like some people plan on bringing their baby carriers, wearing them in baby. Well, if you're not used to wearing the baby in the baby carrier,
for that 10 or 12 hours a day,
be the best time to try it. Yeah. If it's something you could just stash and pull it out, if it works, great. But just have a little experience using the stroller or the baby carrier or whatever your intent is outside of your house before you try to Disney trip.
Yeah. And do some practice. Like you said, go to the zoo, go do some things that are longer, several hours, go to a fair, go to something so that you're getting experience with it, and practice the breaking down and taking up and setting up again. Cause getting on the shuttles or, and that we were mentioning also, or we were talking earlier about be prepared for things like with your stroller, it gets moved. And so things like, cause sometimes where you park it, the cast members will have to move it in order to adjust how the flow and where things are. So
don't freak out if somebody touches your stroller, moves your stroller. If it's not where it was where you left it, that's okay. That's just the way things flow.
And it's helpful to have something, but not necessarily a Mickey balloon.
Expect to buy a balloon at the park and tie it on there and think that's going to designate it because everybody else does.
There are so many strollers that look like that. You find something else, tie a scarf, tie something, do something that
onto the handle so you'll know your stroller.
It's quick to identify. But don't leave your valuables. That's another thing to practice, having your stuff all in one bag or however you want it. But just kind of practice these things, doing other activities. Maybe even go on the bus with your stroller. I mean, try doing some of these types of activities to see how well it's going to work for you and see if you need to make any adjustments.
And you do want to make sure that you're not just throwing loose things into your stroller, because you will have times where you do need to pull everything out of the stroller, fold it up and get it onto either the train or I guess you're packing it at the train, but on the trams and so you'll want to, or I think even going into the parks through security, there were times where we take everything out of the stroller
when they're doing bag checks and stuff.
So you'll just want to have tote bags, large tote bags, 2 or 3 of them maybe in the bottom of your stroller. So every older kid or adult in the group grabs 1 or 2, then you can go through with an empty stroller. And that works. One thing that worked for me too is have what I would call mom's bag of tricks. And so you're going to have a bag in there that has things to distract and entertain. So it could be bubbles, it could be small cars. So if you're sitting there waiting for 45 minutes before the parade starts, you have something, getting the snacks, especially it's so easy to find Disney themed snacks. So fruit snacks or
goldfish,
the goldfish. You get the snacks, especially if they're little Disney themed things, and you pull it out when they start fussing, and voila, everything's fine. And bring the glow sticks if you're doing any of the nighttime shows or parades, and glow sticks. And I mean, you get the stuff at the Dollar Tree. It's super cheap and easy.
Lots of good stuff. Or in the dollar spot or whatever they call the Target. Really.
And if you can, if you're able to grab, have a few extras, so maybe you have kids around you that you notice are being fussy too, share with them, and you can make friends with the parents. I think we've had good experiences making friends that way. And also we've talked about how literally just a thing of stickers, Disney stickers, can turn anything into Disney.
So even if you can't find a Disney
it turns a cup into Disney or a balloon into Disney
or a little fan into Disney, anything. Just
little windmills. Kids love windmills.
Yes.
Make a little Disney windmill and that'll entertain them for a while.
So I mean, you can really, it's not too hard to just all of a sudden Disney-fy anything and then let them.
So have your little bag of tricks that the kids don't know what's in there and they don't get into. So they don't get to rummage through it. You kind of just have on hand your little stash to whip out when you need it.
A new little surprise. Yeah. Good tip. All right. I think that's about it.
I think so.
Okay. Well, we hope that these help if you're taking any littles to Disney anytime soon or in the future. We appreciate you joining in. I appreciate Ruth joining me again with her experience. And that's it. We'll see you next week.